and go. These boosters on the outside, they have flown before. The Psyche mission, a little more than a year ago. They are back on the pad along with a brand new center core booster and a spacecraft bound for the Jupiter moon Europa.
Yeah, Daryl, I can confirm, listening to the
Heavy
teams, that everybody is go for launch. They have resolved the temperature issue they were looking at on second stage. Everybody's given the go for that, and Falcon is in startup, so the flight computer has taken over, and we're getting ready for the
SpaceX
final
launch director is go for launch.
And there we hear Charlie Meyer say that SpaceX is ready for launch, and Europa Clipper getting ready to lift off.
And there's a great update as now it vents out the locks inside the line of the transporter erector. We are inside of 30 seconds.
30 seconds and counting. Minutes, 15 seconds and counting.
And here we go. 10,
10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff. Liftoff of Falcon Heavy with Europa Clipper, unveiling the mysteries of an enormous ocean lurking beneath the icy crust of Jupiter's moon, Europa.
Engine chamber pressures are nominal.
See that the chamber pressures are nominal as we hear. All 27 Merlin engines look great.
Rocket beginning to roll. Putting down 5.1 million pounds of thrust. Coming up, they're going to back off those engines just a bit.
So we get ready to head into max
Power
Q.
and telemetry nominal.
We hear that power and telemetry on the vehicle are good there. Everything's looking really
Falcon
well.
Heavy is supersonic.
They have reduced power in the center core to get through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure on the launch vehicle as we approach that. The two side boosters at full throttle.
A beautiful shot there as our camera team
Max Q.
locking into the rocket on a clear blue sky. The view from the booster cam back down on Earth.
And there we heard the call for max Q. The vehicle is passing through maximum dynamic pressure. Next thing up in about 2 minutes will be booster engine cutoff, where we see the two side booster engines, all 18, shut down and get ready for booster separation. But the vehicle is performing very well. Looking at all the telemetry that we have, power and trajectory are nominal.
We've been flying for just under 2 minutes so far. Everything looking good. B-side boosters, once they do their job, they will be expended. If you're familiar with the Falcon Heavy, you know that they bring the boosters back on certain launches, but not on this one, because all of the performance is needed to push Europa Clipper into its proper orbit.
Things continue to look good as the vehicle heads down its ascent phase here. All telemetry is looking very nominal for this flight this morning. Falcon Heavy is performing very well.
Now we're just about 30 seconds away from separating those side boosters. Their engines will cut off first, then they will separate.
MVAC is chilling.
Starting to chill down that MVAC-D engine in the second stage.
And that's where we need to get the engine chilled to the proper temperatures before flowing liquid oxygen and RP1 into it. So they're conditioning the engine to make sure things are ready for when it's ready to start up.
Stand by for booster separation.
Booster engine cutoff. Side booster separation confirmed.
And there they go.
Those two boosters previously flown on Psyche. This will be their 6th flight. We thank you for their service this morning. They did a great job of getting Falcon Heavy and Europa Clipper on its way as the center core takes over and continues mission down its ascent. Things are looking really good in the telemetry. Power and trajectory look nominal, and chamber pressures on the 9 center core engines look really good.
And just a little more, 20 seconds from now, we'll get the cutoff of the main engine on the center core booster that remains. 4 seconds after that, we will separate. Flying out over the Atlantic Ocean. There's a look from inside.
There we see stage one
Stage
shutdown
separation confirmed.
and stage separation from the center core. Getting ready for MVAC startup, SES-1.
We're getting some applause here in the Mission Directors Center, and there you see the MVAC-D engine lighting up.
Next thing up in about 10 seconds will be fairing separation.
NYPY FTS has saved.
And the fairing has protected Europa Clipper on its ascent up into space, but once we get into space, we don't need that fairing anymore.
Fairing
there they go.
separation confirmed.
Fairing has separated, and those will be recovered, Daryl, by SpaceX's own recovery ship, Go Cosmos.
And there you see them falling away into space. That is the only part of this rocket that will be recovered.
The glow of the MVAC-D engine as it performs its first burn here. This is about a 3-minute and 47-second burn. Things are looking great. Matter of fact, this is one of the shortest first burns that has been done on a Falcon Heavy by SpaceX, but it is required to get us into that parking orbit for that long coast that we have to get ready for the interplanetary trajectory that we're going to need to get Europa Clipper on its way that we heard Jenny talk about to get those Earth assist slingshots as it heads on its way for its mission. So things looking really good this morning with the performance of the Falcon Heavy. MVAC is performing well, and everything looks good thus far in today's mission.
Usually those burns are the other way around, with a longer first burn and the shorter second burn, but in this case it is reversed. As we look at some crystal clear views of the MVAC-D engine, the stage 2 that's carrying Europa Clipper. Orbital light is shining both on the spacecraft, the second stage, and on planet Earth.
Center core
it is
FTS
beautiful.
has saved.
There we've heard that the flight termination system on the center core has been saved as it heads back to splash down. Things are looking good. I can tell you, Daryl, we had a beautiful weather day for launch, and as we're looking at MVAC flying in space with Europa Clipper, it is such a gorgeous view with Earth behind it, and so we could not have had a better day for a mission launch today.
No doubt about it, Mick. It was simply gorgeous. We had a hurricane a week ago, but after that pushed out, it brought us in its wake near perfect weather for launch. And now we're into space, dealing with the harsh conditions up there.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Stage 2 has made its way into space far enough away for us to be able to safe the flight termination system from a safety perspective. We're about a minute away from second stage engine cutoff as we'll see the MVAC-D shut down and get ready for a long coast, getting Europa Clipper into that parking orbit and on its way for the next firing that we will have, the second stage, number 2, to get it into that interplanetary transfer orbit that we need to get Europa Clipper started. So things looking very well this morning. We're about 30 seconds from that stage engine cutoff, which we refer to as SECO 1.
That's right.
We'll get terminal guidance.
Get into that coast phase. These views brought to you, of course, by ground stations across the track that are pulling in the high-resolution data from the cameras. Burn looking good, just a few seconds away from cutting off from that first burn. And there it goes. The first burn is complete.
Yep, things look really well on the stage burn result. Apogee, perigee, and everything for the mission looks really good. Engine performance, very well performance by the second stage for this first burn. And things continue to look good as we head into this long coast for this parking orbit.
It's a long coast, and we'll hit that second burn. Roughly 3 minutes and 21 seconds long. This one was roughly 3 minutes and 9 seconds. And Mick, you saw the data from it, and it all looked pretty good. Then there you go, the
Yep,
confirmation.
We're hearing confirmation that we have nominal orbital insertion. As we were looking at the telemetry here, Daryl, that things looked very good. Stage 1 and Stage 2 performed very well on that ascent flight. And we'll continue to follow Stage 2 to get ready for that second burn. And then, of course, what we're really looking forward to, Europa Clipper separation.
It's going to be a beautiful moment. If the pictures are as clear as we've seen so far, we will see it in all of its glorious detail. Yeah, that's right. We're getting ready to relight the second stage engine on the second stage of the rocket, carrying Europa Clipper, and it is just moments away, Mick. We're at T plus 47 minutes and 30 seconds, getting ready to relight. This is a longer burn than the first burn.
Yeah, this is the burn that will get us into that ITO, or interplanetary transfer orbit, allowing Europa Clipper to be separated and get ready for its Earth assist maneuver. And there we just heard the call for MVAC ignition. The engine was chilled down prior to this, and ignition has happened, and second burn is continuing on.
So this is a 3-minute and 21-second burn of the second stage. If you're familiar with the amazing views that we have at this point, then you know that we've got the camera on the second stage. However, we are not expecting to see that view for this particular burn, and there's an important reason for that, and that is because we've been on ground stations leading up into this point, but for the duration of this second burn, we are pulling data through the TDRS network. The TDRS network, a legacy satellite system in geo orbit that is going to help us out fill in the gap so we can at least pull down the important telemetry of what is going on.
Yeah, we're seeing the telemetry coming through, and things are looking good on the telemetry. And but as you stated, we can't process that video through there from that aspect, and things continue to go for this burn.
Yes, the TDRS system covering 90% of this burn too. TDRS, of course, standing for Tracking Data and Relay Satellite Network. 90% of the burn will be covered by TDRS, but it's a much lower data rate than it is from the ground station. It's roughly on the order of 20 kilobits per second. If you compare that to your home internet connection, it's the pipe is about 5,000 times smaller.
Yeah, we have to choose what data we send. So we want to send the vehicle telemetry so we can see what's happening from a stage 2 velocity and altitude, and bandwidth for video takes up a lot more. So we opt to get the launch vehicle data, and things continue to look good for this burn.
Anyone who has downloaded video onto their phone knows about bandwidth. You got to have a good connection. You got to have a cell phone that's on a wide connection in order to pull down video. So we will not have video for any part of this second burn. Also, the spacecraft team is not getting any of the telemetry being pulled down because, again, as you said, there's a high priority on the communications about where that rocket stage is.
Yeah, absolutely. And this burn continues, and we're about 30 seconds away from the end of this burn, and we'll see how things continue to move. But we're watching the telemetry here, Daryl, and you can see that the acceleration of stage 2 and velocity continue to increase as stage 2 is performing its job to get Europa Clipper into its orbit.
MVAC engine cut off.
There you have the cutoff. The second burn is complete. And we just caught some video of right there at the end of the second burn, and we've got some results there. Everything looking good.
Yeah, TDRS network did its job. We just switched over to ground station, and we were able to pick up that
Nominal
video.
orbit insertion.
And nominal orbital insertion has just been reported, and stage 2 looks good. So our next event, Daryl, will be spacecraft separation. Very excited for that, and I know everybody's looking forward to that with the successful launch today.
We are looking forward to seeing Europa Clipper go off into space off that second stage, but in the meantime, we'll send it back to Megan and Jenny. Less than 30 seconds away from separation. There you see the Europa spacecraft Those massive solar panels that you were talking about all stacked together. This is a big moment for the program, for NASA, APL, and JPL. Let's watch.
Europa Clipper, separation confirmed.
And there you go. NASA's Europa Clipper probe, embarking on a long-awaited mission to study Jupiter's icy moon Europa. And what a sight, Mick.
That is absolutely gorgeous, Gerald, to see Europa Clipper on its way. Successful deployment from Stage 2. Falcon Heavy performed very well today. Teams behind us are clapping and enjoying. That is a beautiful picture.
Via the video, we can see that Clipper has successfully separated. Please say goodbye to Clipper on its way to Europa.
Now, that voice you heard just there is the Europa Clipper flight director, Pranay Mishra. He's with the mission support team.
Okay, all stations, we are waiting for a sign of initial acquisition. Again, Telecom will confirm when we have carrier lock, and DDM will let us know when they see the first packet down.
You can see the second stage and the spacecraft just hit orbital sunrise, fully illuminated by the sun coming over the Earth. And as you just heard the flight director say, they are now going to be monitoring for an acquisition of signal.
Yes, this will be the first time the spacecraft gets information. Looking forward for that.
The hope is that they would get it in the next few seconds. We're now looking at a split screen. On your left, you see Europa Clipper. On your right, this is telemetry coming. Or actually, this is the ground station looking for a spike, looking for a handshake with the spacecraft. And we expect to see that in the form of a blip.
Daryl, as you say, they expect that here in a few seconds, but it can happen in a few seconds or anywhere from 15 minutes from now. So the team is closely monitoring this and looking for that, and we're hoping that we can gain AOS here very shortly.
Yes, there's a broad range of times for which AOS is expected.
Flight GNC.
Go.
Just wanted to comment from the video that we could see that the sun was on the neg-Y side of the spacecraft. There were very low visible separation rates, and the negative Z-axis was pointed at Earth, so this should be favorable for comp.
Copy, GNC. Thank you.
An acknowledgement from the team that that sunlight could help things out. They're looking to warm up the amplifiers.
Go, Faith.
Sorry, I missed the session IDs for our SA sessions from GDS. Can you or GDS repeat those for me?
We did not call them out on net yet, but there are 5 session IDs that it will cycle through, so just a note. GDS, could you note those session IDs in your cache report, and then folks can go there and take a look?
So they got 2 radios there that they are warming up. And once they get warm enough, they'll be able to send a signal transmitting down to the deep space network. And that's where JPL, the team that you see there in California, is awaiting to receive that signal. Basically a handshake saying, hey, I'm here, I'm good. The bigger telemetry and the more the data about how it's doing will come down later.
Go.
Did we get confirmation that the alarm file was deployed?
That's affirmative.
Do we have the time at which that deployment was complete?
GDS, do you have a specific time for when that alarm file deployment was complete?
17:05:06.
Systems, you copy that time?
Copy, thank you.
Again, that's Europa Clipper Flight Director Pranay Mishra leading his team. Also, a partner in this mission is the Applied Physics Laboratory, their team on console as well. continuing to monitor the search for a signal. And I believe we have it.
Right.
There it is.
Flight, this is... Go, Telecom. Flight, this is Cal. We're seeing the signal on the open loop receiver. Copy, Telecom.
And there you have it. Confirmation of signal from the spacecraft, Europa Clipper. In the room there at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory erupting in applause. These teams have worked a long time. You've got some high fives.
Flight, I got data on SSC. Copy, Telecom.
Flight, this is Telecom. Looks like 12 kilosymbols per second as expected.
Copy, Telecom.
Solid data rate.
We're in lock. Flight, this is Telecom. We're in lock.
Copy, Telecom.
Flight systems.
Go, systems.
We have telemetry. We received good tempos, and our displays are lighting up.
Copy, systems. Initial hack is confirmed.
And now they just locked in full telemetry from the spacecraft. Another big milestone.
Flight prop.
Go, prop.
We are vented and primed.
Thank you, prop.
The propulsion system now is ready.
Flight, this is Nav.
Go, Nav.
We see Doppler data.
Copy, Nav.
Break. Flight systems.
Go.
We're reporting status that both branches failed to vent. Can prop please confirm if venting occurred successfully?
I was about to do that. The pressures are good, but we are seeing the valve venting flag. We're taking a look right now.
Copy, prop. Thank you.
Flight GNC.
Go, GNC.
We do see, the telemetry just came in too. We do see that we are already in the mode GNC 3RS tracks on point, and with the Z-axis rate is consistent with the Z-axis roll.
Copy. Thank you, GNC.
That's really good, right? Yeah.
Flight FP.
Go, FP.
So the particular condition about both branch failing venting does not trigger a monitor, and we have no indication of anything trip, so it just moved down to priming.
Copy.
Can hear you, Sammy. Copy.
Is that if both branches fail venting, the behavior moves on to and attempts priming. So if that is successful, we could get into tracks on point like we're seeing here. Depending on the cause of the both branches failing venting, which we'll look for prop to confirm more details on.
Copy, activity. Activity, as you see signs of the launch behavior continuing, please call it out.
Yes, if we're flight this activity.
Go ahead.
Being in our tracks on point at this point, we are waiting the hour thermal roll, so we should all be looking for signs of being in the thermal roll right now.
Copy, activity.
Yeah, Flight GNC, just to confirm it again, we are in the thermal roll right now. And so GNC sees that we have already successfully found the sun, done a slew to sun point, and initiated the Z-axis roll. So good indication that GNC is using the engine successfully.
Copy, GNC. Do you have an estimate on the start time of that thermal roll?
We're working that right now. I'll get that back to you.
Thank you. And activity, when you have the telemetry in step 2-8 or can confirm the telemetry in step 2-8, please let me know.
Flight C.
Go ahead, B.
Is Power seeing anything in the thermal roll? Do we see any change?
Go ahead, Power.
Stand by.
So what you're hearing is that the propulsion system was primed. It didn't get a vent on it, but they have later come to get confirmation that indeed the spacecraft is in a roll, so the propulsion system appears to be working.
Yeah, absolutely. They have all good telemetry and everything going well. The spacecraft team's very happy, and they got into their thermal roll and doing very well. So awesome to see deployment. Awesome to see Europa Clipper on its way for this successful mission. Great job by all the teams on today's launch.
Welcome back to our launch coverage of the Hera mission for the European Space Agency. If you're just joining us, we had an on-time launch at 10:52 a.m. Eastern We were able to get the weather to cooperate. We had a successful ascent, stage separation. We've had the 2 burns of the second stage engine. We've got one more major milestone coming up to complete today's mission, which of course is the deployment of the Hera spacecraft from Falcon 9's second stage. That's going to happen just over 30 seconds from now. And you may have noticed when we shut down the engine at the end of the second burn, we were 204 kilometers, a little more than 120 miles above the Earth. If you look at the display on the bottom right of your screen, we've just crossed 7,400 kilometers as we continue to head out into deep space as we have exceeded the velocity to escape from Earth. But right now, let's listen to hear the call out and watch for separation of Hera from the second stage.
Hera separation confirmed.
Great view. We've got successful deployment of the Hera spacecraft.
And with successful payload deploy, that brings our webcast to a close.